Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Plotlines. I'm your host, Connor, and today I have one of my favorite guests with me. Today, we're going to be talking about woke beer and, hopefully the future of beer and maybe the non-wokeness of the future beer. And with me is none other than Trevor Alcorn, Mr. Tridentine Brewing himself. Welcome back to Plotlines, Trevor.
Pleased to be on Plotlines again, Connor. You said one of your favorite guests. I'm not Charles Coulombe, so I'm not the favorite, but I might be somewhere up there, maybe top five. We'll see. I won't put you on the spot. I won't ask you to reveal that, but I am glad to be back on Plotlines. Thank you for having me.
It is key saying one of.
That's right. That's great. It makes me feel good, but you don't have to reveal the ranking.
You don't know what one of is out of. It could
How
be
big
out of
is the
20.
selection? Who
Yeah.
knows?
How big is my favorite list? I don't know. Uh, but Trevor, there's a lot of news around beer recently. I never thought I'd say that, to be honest, that beer would be in the news cycle so much. And I'm not really in the business of covering news very often, but I think focusing on the sort of a restoration of the beer industry might be up your alley.
It is. And since I love the label so much, that's right up my alley, like you said. So I'm really looking forward to talking about that and kind of dissecting some of the current situation.
I'm also trying to figure out what a good label for a political philosophy is, since I don't like conservative and I don't like liberal or communist or whatever. And maybe restorationist might be or restorationism or something like that might end up being the name of it. What do you think?
Hey, I think that could work. I definitely think we need something else, right? And I think you and I are on the same page about a lot of things, politically. I believe so, and it doesn't always fit nicely in a box. So I think a new name is definitely in order.
We need to buy a new box
That's
that
right.
that is perfect to fit in it, or
Yeah.
to fit it. Uh, but okay, so we're gonna watch a scandalous ad. So beware all those. This video is, we've never considered this show family friendly anyways, so therefore we're fine.
Yep.
But we're gonna be watching the Miller Lite ad, just so everyone knows. And also it's garbage.
It's true.
And okay. Wait, are we ready?
Here's a little known fact. Women were among the very first to brew beer ever. From Mesopotamia to the Middle Ages to colonial America, women were the ones doing the brewing. Centuries later, how did the industry pay homage to the founding mothers of beer? They put us...
I just realized that is actually all we need to see. You know why? You know why?
Why?
Because really, the bad part of that ad, other than the swearing and the really stupid actresses, is the fact that they basically claim women invented beer and beer wouldn't exist without women. That's the problem with the ad. If you want to get rid of all the gross sort of advertisements, that's a big problem of over sexualization of women anyways. But just the way they come at it is it's just a gross female comedian.
Yeah. No, I will say, yeah, for the history of beer, obviously, the most history of beer is mainly, men, the monks, for example. Although I will say there is also a history of nuns making beer, for example, or just women in general and involved in beer. So I want to say it's like all completely male dominated, but well, let's be real, like the monks made beer what it is today. I think what most people think of it as. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting way that they went about that to set an agenda, I would say, in that particular ad.
Yeah, it's just their attempt to bash men. Like,
Yeah,
it's one thing to criticize a industry for using sex, which there are like nobody forced women to buy bikinis. First of all, like you can't argue that women are the only victims in this situation because no one forced women to wear bikinis.
sure.
You could just not wear a bikini. How hard is that? Is that really difficult? Trevor, is that difficult? Do you think that's difficult?
It doesn't seem difficult to me. So
Is it
no, I would say
hard to
no.
not wear a Speedo?
It is not hard for me to not do that. And everyone is thankful for that, Connor. Everyone is thankful in that case.
I bet. See, exactly. It's the same logic.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there are certain incentives for women to dress like that men don't have. But yeah, to your point, I think is anyone forcing that? I mean, no. I mean, there's certainly free will here, but it is interesting in that ad, which, as you said, Connor, kind of goes on to basically goes from over sexualizing or sexualizing, let me just say plain and simple, women as beer, like equating, well, if you drink this beer, then maybe you'll get this very attractive woman who's scantily clad. Maybe it'll be more attractive to them. To now a different form of toxic feminism, and that rah women power everything, and anything having to do with anything having to do with men is necessarily bad. I mean, that's kind of how the ad was coming across from what I've seen. So yeah, overall, not a good thing. I think we went from bad to bad, because unfortunately, the reaction that I've seen online to that ad, at least amongst, let's just say, the more conservative people, has been, oh, why'd they take away all the good things? We had the good times with the old Miller Lite, the old Bud Light, the old advertising. It's like, well, that wasn't good either. The sexualizing of women for this marketing purposes, that wasn't good either. And certainly the way that they're going with the woke advertisement, and certainly the hardcore feminism in some of these ads is also not great. So I think instead of correcting themselves, they went from bad to bad. So it's overall not a great situation on the marketing front for the breweries.
Yeah, the people complaining that women can't, complaining that beer won't be sexual, the beer companies won't be sexualizing women, are basically the same as the women complaining about the lack of female representation in beer, or trying to force feed everyone really bad history. It's the same thing as
Right.
Cleopatra is black thing.
Yeah, I think I saw a little bit of that blowing up. Yeah.
Like it's all in the same thing. The problem is that where the ideal beer, which actually I think that there was a nun's outfit or something in the middle of the ad or something in the medieval part. And sure, that's great. It's great highlighting nuns in beer, but the way they do it is such a I hate men way,
Right.
and it's just dumb because it came from some 25-year-old feminist woman who has no man and thinks she needs no man and is going to die with all her cats at 60.
Yeah. That's basically it, Connor. I think you nailed it right on the head. The analysis. It's just more, anti men. I don't know who they think that they're trying to win over with the marketing. To be honest, I mean, I think probably if you looked at the demographics of who buys Miller Lite, it's probably what 75% men, something like that, or more than that. I don't know too many women that are just like really attracted and hey, let's go get a Miller Lite. I mean, if you're a ball game or something like that, you might be okay. That's what's on tap, so I'll take that. But
Well, if I'm forced to,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I think it's very similar to like the kind of like the put down of like you saw this even with like razor commercials with Gillette and whatnot about you kind of like putting down men as in like toxic masculinity and men are bad. It's like who do you think are buying men's razors? I mean, I know there's women's razors, but this is a men's razor commercial, and yeah, there's certainly an agenda that's driving it, and they obviously don't really care about the consequences of who are we driving away, which we can talk about. Why do they keep on pursuing this type of marketing strategy? It seems to be a bit counterintuitive, but I think that there's other reasons at play other than they care to keep their loyal fan base and customers.
Well, I think there are these really dumb executives in the advertising departments who think that there's a group of people that they're not reaching with their product, which I don't think they understand. There's no one else to reach. Like you're selling beer. Only people who drink beer, especially light beer, will be drinking light beer. Nobody who hates beer or is it a teetotaler is going to be drinking light beer. Your main demographic is like college men, college boys.
Right.
And they don't want to be gay. They don't want to be viewed as homosexual. And they will if they drink Bud Light or Miller Lite now, which is also Coors Light. I think Blue Moon also follow. We're looking at the two companies. We got Bud Light trying to shoot itself in the foot. And then we got Miller Lite, who actually shot itself in the foot before Bud Light shot itself in the foot, but everyone didn't notice until Bud Light already shot itself in the foot. And Miller Lite was soaring because everyone was buying their products because like the 20% decrease or 30% decrease in Bud Light sales was going to Miller Lite beers. And now it was at the highest it's been not the highest, but it was really close to being the highest it's been, and now it's just gonna tank down, and then people are gonna go to what's left. What's the third? Isn't there a third company or something?
I mean, maybe like Coors, for example. I mean,
no, Coors. This is the same company.
Oh, is it the same company as Miller?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Miller Lite sells Coors Light, Blue Moon. There are others.
Okay.
It's a parent company.
Yeah.
It is a giant parent company.
That's a tricky thing with these, right? These conglomerates that just, I mean, they have all these brands. For people on the East Coast, it's probably Yangling, although I know Yangling is also...
Isn't it Yingling?
Yingling. Yeah, could be.
I think so.
I think that these companies, they even in Yangling, also in some respects I've seen some ads where they've supported a bit of the rainbow agenda, but it's not as quite as overt, I think, as some of these other companies. So I mean, I think that that's probably where people, at least on the East Coast, who are fed up with what Bud Light and Miller have been doing, that they might gravitate towards something like that.
So when's Tridentine beer coming out?
Tridentine beer, hopefully, will be out, Lord willing, this calendar year. around Chicago. So we've had some really good conversations with distributors. So legally in Illinois, we need a distributor as a middleman
As a
to
front.
I don't know if it's a front, but they we can't sell directly to retailers.
Sounds like a front.
So they need to be involved in this.
Involved.
That's right, involved in this. And so we've had really good conversations with a distributor, and we also now are in conversations with an existing brewery. So we are going to start out by like doing co-brewing at an existing brewery just in the Chicagoland region. And that's how we're going to be getting the beer out, because we can't do it in our R&D lab brewing and in our basement. It just doesn't really work out that way. We don't have capacity. So that's what we're looking at. So we're in negotiations, in conversations right now. So I can't really give away the name of some of the breweries we're talking to or the distributor. Nothing's signed yet, but we are looking, at least I can at least say this, we're looking at 3 beers right now to get out into the market. That's what we've been told initially. I won't say the 3 beers because we haven't fully initiated it yet. But very likely we will have one of our royal themed beers out there. That's a very high possibility. So we'll see. That'll be fun and interesting to see. I'll leave everyone guessing which one that is, but likely we will. I would not be shocked if by the fall at least we have something in stores around Chicago.
I just want Defender of the Faith to be out.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know.
Could be. Duly noted. I will make a note of that.
Plus Francis Sales. Also, it's a beautiful label. I mean, they're all beautiful labels too, so it's hard to pick, to be honest.
It's one of the driving points. Not everyone
then again, I haven't
you.
tried the Mass of the Ages one.
Okay. We'll have to hook you up. We just did a batch recently, so we've got bottles of it.
Ooh. Okay. Also, so is Tridentine Brewing going to become the New Glarus of Illinois?
New Glarus? Go ahead,
Spotted Cow.
Spotted Cow.
It's going to be the Spotted Cow of Illinois.
Yeah. That's a good question. I guess we'll have to see. I think I've had Spotted Cow maybe like one time.
Really? Well, the point is that people go to Wisconsin to pick up Spotted Cow and then they come back. I
hope so. I hope it turns into that, Connor. So we have enough buzz out there. And I will say this. The feedback that we've got from distributors and other brewers on the following that Tridentine has on social media, for example, they've been astounded at it, especially considering that we haven't sold anything. And we haven't sold anything, and
that's great.
We're larger than a lot of Chicago breweries on social media, so they're impressed with that.
Will people be able to like buy and get it shipped to like their different states, or is that not a thing?
You know what? Shipping beer is a thing. That's something we need to work out with the distributor, because I don't know that the distributor that we're talking to has a capacity, but that doesn't mean that it won't come to fruition in some form or shape. So more on that to be determined.
Yes,
but I definitely want us to do that. That is a goal. I believe that there is something like maybe 40 odd states, maybe 42 odd states that allow shipping from outside of the state into their state for alcohol or beer. So we're not going to be able to hit all 50, but we'll at least be able to hit a sizable majority
And
when we do that.
just to clarify for everyone, this isn't woke beer.
It's not woke beer. Although I will say this, Connor, I want the beer to be, and this is something on social media I haven't like pushed a particular narrative that this is anti-woke beer, because I think you might have even seen there was a beer that came out as like a short run beer. It's brilliant marketing, but a guy came out with a light beer, very light beer, that said conservative dad's light anti-woke light beer or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And they advertised it, and it was brilliant. He got it out really quick. He worked with another brewery to just pump it out, and they found a distributor to ship it. But all I came across as is we're just against people using the incorrect bathrooms. It's like, that's all you stand for, is just you're just against that. And so we want to be more than just
conservative
anti-woke
beer.
Yeah, it's not just, oh, this is just a conservative beer. We want it to like actually stand for something, for God, family, country. The tagline that we have, brewing beer for the greater glory of God, want that to actually mean something, and to really, we want our beer to be infused with meaning, and not just be, oh yeah, this is just whatever those guys have, we're against. Oh, they're for this, the next crazy thing, we're just against that. It's like, okay, well, we need to be, to your point about conservatives maybe always just being on the defensive, we need to actually stand for something and not just be against whatever they're pushing out.
Well said. I do think that's important, and also the people will understand the alternative.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
you don't need to shove it down their throats for them to understand that this is not woke beer.
Yes. Very well said. It doesn't need to be said quite like that. And what I also don't want to turn into is the beer equivalent of Black Rifle Coffee, which is just, hey, let's just slap a logo on there that kind of says that we back the Second Amendment, even though in reality they don't. They make contributions to politicians that are opposed to the Second Amendment. But it just very much, it comes across as very shallow, very, we're here to make a buck off of you. We don't really believe in anything. We're not invested in this, but we know that you'll buy it because it's got a gun on the coffee bag, and so you'll eat it up. So we'll be happy to slap that AR-15 on there for you because we know it'll sell. Yeah, we don't want to be doing anything like that. That's not what we want to do. Like we actually stand by and believe what we put behind the beers. So we want that to shine through. And to your point, people will pick up on that. I don't need to go out there and say it's anti-woke or we're against this or that. I think that it'll be pretty apparent.
I mean, yeah, you're would it be safe to say you're an artist?
An artist,
in some sense.
In some sense, I would say, but I would say I come from a family of artists, and so I mean,
your dad's an artist.
My dad's a beer artist.
Yeah.
My mom is an artist. And so is my brother. Art. Yeah, she is. She does painting. She fixes religious art, statues.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, she does. I mean, really good. She's done for several churches, for the Institute Christ the King. So
can she fix the entire ugly churches? Can she just make them pretty?
With enough time, and if we like multiplied her out, I think that it would be possible.
Now that could be an argument for cloning.
Right? Yes, I think so. Right. Funny enough, my parents had also at one point in time had really considered opening up a sacred art type of business, and
I was worried you were going to say statues.
Cloning. Yes, something that wasn't going to violate the natural law. Yes, we're sticking within the bounds of that.
Oh,
So the
okay.
sacred art space, yes.
I'm glad you're
Unfortunately, no
clarifying.
cloning. Yeah,
I was worried for a second.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's beautiful. But the point with being an artist is you have a mission, you have what you want to create, you have you want people to like it for the art. When people don't have any real meaning behind their art, they're fine just slapping a label on it and just, selling it for cheap, very cheap, and just trying to make a quick buck off of it.
Mm,
But
yeah,
art requires time and effort, and there's no guarantee that it will be a success.
yeah. I think that that's a fantastic point, Connor, in regards to the art, because you're right. There are so many, I mean, so much in society, but speaking from a beer standpoint, even beer that's very expensive, and not just the cheap beer,
No.
has horrible artwork or even demonic artwork on it. So, yeah, there's a lot out there that doesn't, the beer labels and names, it doesn't really stand for anything, and so you're left scratching your head at the end of the day like, okay, what did that crazy name really mean? What did that label supposed to represent? And people could say, well, it's just a beer, who cares, not everything has to be packed with meaning. But at some point,
False.
yeah, I mean, it should have meaning, right? I mean, you named it, you thought about it, you
And
made artwork for it.
anything good has meaning.
Yes.
It. I would like to take back the name Budweiser, though. It's the name of a city
Yeah,
in Czechia.
that's right.
So I'd like to take that back, but I can't. When you become very wealthy from Tridentine Brewing, will you buy the label or buy back the brand of Budweiser and make a good beer?
I'd have to be incredibly wealthy for that.
We're working on it.
That's right. Buy our beer, make it so that I can buy back all these brands and
We
make
don't
beer
need
great
Miller
again.
back or Coors. We don't need that back. The ones with meaning, remember? The ones with meaning we'll take back.
The ones with meaning, yeah. I think that getting some of those beers back and maybe going back to some more original recipes and getting rid of some of the crazy marketing would be a worthwhile endeavor.
I wish Elon would just buy these companies just to fire everyone. I mean, I love that that's basically what he did with Twitter. He just bought Twitter to fire everyone.
That would be a tremendous and welcome sight to behold if that's something that he ended up doing with some of
Well,
these companies.
in some way it would be, but in other ways it wouldn't, because then it wouldn't open this great opportunity for Tridentine Brewing in the future.
Yeah, you know what? It seems like the timing is tailor made, right?
Tailor made. Speaking of Taylor,
Taylor. Don't worry, I'm not running for president.
You're not?
No, that's okay. I'm too busy making artwork and beer.
You're not going to be
think about it.
VP?
No, that's all right. I'll stay away from anything having to do with that. So,
I'll
yeah.
take VP as a diversity pick.
Dave, that would be great.
Taylor could do worse.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you would be. I mean, I can't even tell you how much better you'd be than our current vice president. So.
Yes, I'd be better than Kamala Harris. I won't cackle like an insane witch.
Yeah, you know what? It's a low bar, but you've already crossed it, far exceeded it, Connor. Far exceeded it. So
I know, and plus, we can say first disabled vice president. Well, I guess she's technically disabled anyways, but whatever. By different standards, though.
Yes. Yeah,
Anyway,
I think you'd make a great VP. We should
thank you.
definitely lobby Taylor, and get you on the ballot with him.
Wait, could I be vice president though? Was there an age?
There's an age though, so
Damn
you're gonna
it.
have to wait. You're gonna have to wait.
Ah,
I think it's 35, maybe. I mean, I know that at least for president, it's 35.
okay. I guess I don't qualify. That's so sad.
Yeah, I mean, even I don't qualify, so don't worry. It's all
You know
right. Well,
what? Whoa, that's crazy. You're young too.
that's good. So you're making me feel great because sometimes I recently went to the store and I didn't get carded. So I was feeling really bad. Like obviously I look over 21, but I'm glad someone thinks that I look or maybe I'm a bit younger than I look, I guess.
I only get carded in the burbs.
Okay.
I don't know why. Anyways, the point more was that this moment is kind of ideal for you to bring out Tridentine Brewing because as I've said multiple times, these businesses keep shooting themselves in the foot.
Yes, and I think it's going to continue on for the foreseeable future, Connor, and maybe I can elaborate on that a bit on why
Sure.
this is just probably going to continue. There's a lot of factors in this. It's not just one, but one of the main driving factors is this ESG rating, which is environmental, social, governmental ratings that are now being used by banks for financing. So most of these companies, most of these large corporations, I mean, one might think that they've got all this cash on hand, they don't really need financing, but that's not true. Whether it's for capital projects or sometimes even for operating funds, they need capital, so they'll get lines of credit. And what banks have been doing now, as part of a very coordinated effort, they've been putting in this ESG rating so that as a company, whether or not you're approved for credit is based on your score in relation to environmental factors, social, and governmental. Now, of course, the devil's in the detail. What does that really mean with those three scores? And we could just focus on the social, which is really about diversity, equity, and inclusion, is really how they judge it. And of course, it's based on a scale and on certain actions that a company needs to take that are acceptable. When they say social, they don't mean, oh, you went out and you supported a pro-life center. You support a pregnancy center. No, that wouldn't get you any points. What they're talking about is, did you support certain agendas that are out there? Did you support the LGBT agenda? And if so, you get points, and that points are added onto your score. And so a company like Bud Light is really almost obligated in a certain way if they want their credit line to comply with this standard, even though they know that they're going to lose customers as a result of it. But it's still very important for them to get the credit. So a lot of these companies are between a rock and a hard place. I'm not saying that they should give up morals in order to get money for it, but
They have
obviously
morals.
well, you saw with the commercial that we just saw, right? For years, sexualizing women for
I
sales.
don't
It doesn't
think they
matter.
had them to begin with.
Yeah, I don't think that they have the standards, moral standards, but they have no problem in that case to put out an ad like you just saw to support certain agendas, to donate to certain agendas, because it helps this rating that they now have. And this is why I don't foresee these companies in general, backing down too much from this. I mean, you'll see maybe they'll pull back a little bit from the Dylan Mulvaney, and they've tried to, like Bud Light has tried to, kind of say that was a mistake. They haven't said disavowed it. They haven't said, "Oh, that was terrible."
They haven't apologized.
They haven't apologized. They just try to run some more patriotic commercials. Hope everyone forgets about it. If everyone forgets about it, it's fine.
It was a terrible patriotic commercial.
Yeah.
It was also diverse. I didn't like that.
It to be expected, right? It's
I think it had like a female military officer too. I was like, yeah, no.
they just got to check all the boxes in some of those commercials, right? For
Even when
the
you're
diversity.
trying to convince, 18-year-old, well, sorry, 20 to 26-year-olds, men to buy beer. No, don't leave us. No, diversity is right here.
Yeah,
You wouldn't leave your diversity.
yeah,
I think they might.
don't care. I think that sales are so bad that we'll see with Bud Light. I mean, obviously, it's having a tremendous impact on Bud Light because they're even to distributors are saying we'll give you free beer. We're going to give you all the beer now. You can't sell it and it's stocked up in your warehouse, your distribution warehouse. That's fine. We're giving you all the beer and we're going to give you beer for X amount of time. You don't have to pay for it at all. So they're trying to make up for it. I don't think it's working. People aren't forgetting it right now. But I'll guarantee you this will probably, or let me back up. One of the reasons why this blew up in such a very visceral way was the fact that this was done outside of June. So come June 1st, you will see almost all of the major beer companies will come out with a Pride commercial with Pride cans, whatever it is. They might not go so far as to put someone like Dylan on the can again. I think they've learned their lesson in the short term for that.
Do you think this might change a little after the last couple weeks? Or the last couple months? Do you think there'll be any change of maybe avoiding Pride Month for at least the beer companies?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think that there's going to be a change. You know why? Because it also has to do, speaking of our friends, the conservatives, the pride flag is traditional and the trans flag is what's progressive now, right? So it's like this, you see it all the time within the conservative movement, the embrace of the former old pride flag. And so I think that it's so tolerated amongst many people who would identify themselves as conservative or Trump voters, a you do you type of attitude, like, oh, it's fine, the pride flag's on there as long as it's not trans stuff, it's okay. I think that that's a lot of the attitude that's out there right now. So that's a reason why I don't think that there's going to be as much pushback as what you think. And plus, when the market is oversaturated and every beer has a rainbow colored bottle, all of a sudden it's like, what do I do now? Whereas when it was just,
but there's so many beer options. Like, you can buy local beer. I don't understand this. Beer is the easiest. Big beer companies are the easiest to boycott. Like, you don't need beer. You have literally no need for it. You may want it. There are other places you can buy beer.
Right.
There are other companies. There are still big companies that probably won't necessarily. I don't know if that may not participate in this. Like, I don't know if Guinness does. Not that I'm advertising or would want people to buy Guinness because they've discriminated against Catholics for so long. But the point is, there has to be companies that don't, or breweries that don't have big budgets to waste money on gay ads. Also, I'm here to watch everything burn, so I'm fine with that. Also, people always say Dave Rubin is not there are people that are also. Wait, sorry. First of all, you brought up conservatives talking about the pride flag being conservative or whatever. Also, I don't talk to crazy people. I don't know what people you're talking to. I try to stay away from idiots.
Yeah, I mean, let me put it this way. Just in general, out in the culture, what I gather from people in the workplace or
Oh,
extended family who
oh.
might be conservative, might have even voted for Trump, but are very much so, if that's what you want to do, you want to live your life that way, go ahead.
Now I've insulted your family members. How do you feel about that?
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I mean, listen. I mean, it's
How
it's unfortunate, but I think at least the things that we're seeing lately with the more the trans agenda, I think that I've seen this personally. I've in conversation with family members or interactions with them that's kind of a bridge. That's a bridge too far to cross.
I'm just
Like especially
saying,
for children.
I make fun of people, and then you're like, oh, and my family members. And I'm like, okay, Trevor, now you're just making me insult your family members. How do you, now you're just trying to make me look bad, aren't you?
You're going to take all that back, everything you said now, because I'm going to go cry after this. No, it's fine. It's fine. Listen, I mean, we all have family members that are all over the map, and that is what it is. So it doesn't bother me at all.
I know.
But
I
it
just
is
thought your
interesting.
framing was funny.
I did it just to make you feel bad, Connor. That's my purpose here is to make you feel bad while you're giving the podcast.
Now I'm gonna go, lay my head down and cry.
Yeah.
So yep. So actually, that's what we're both going to do after this podcast. That's our immediate reactions because we're that weak. But yeah, no. So also, Dave Rubin. People say Dave Rubin is a conservative. I think they're actually quite right. Dave Rubin is the epitome of conservatism. The founder of conservatism was Edmund Burke. He looked at the French Revolution and said, "Oh no, I don't want that to happen in my place. So I'm going to try and keep things from changing." Dave Rubin looks at the trans and blah, 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 and says, "Oh, I don't want that to happen in my world. I'm going to try and stop it," right? He's not going to try and stop anything that's already happened.
Right. There's no going back, right? There's no making progress to...
I don't like the word progress.
Sorry, let me put it a different way. There's no way to actually
develop,
get to a point where we are working towards a state where we are, I don't know, restoring values, even just sanity, right? Even just going back to something like a natural law. I mean, that even seems like, crazy, but it's like, that's like the bare minimum. We can't even get back to that. So yeah, I agree. Someone like Dave Rubin definitely epitomizes, I mean, he epitomizes classical liberalism, I would say. I mean, a lot of people that say that they're conservative, I think a lot of people think that they mean different things by that.
Well, everyone needs to now watch my episode with Thursday about what is conservatism, because we go into much greater detail about what conservatism is, and it's not probably what most people think it is. But even if people think they know what it is, they're also going to look at it in a different light today. I think maybe 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, there was this, great debate about what conservatism is. And when I say great, I really don't mean great. It felt important at the time, but in the end, it really wasn't that important. In the sort of, I think what was it called? The intellectual dark web of sorts. Do you remember those days?
I do, yes.
Simpler times, it feels like simpler times. But that was the sort of these discussions were going back and forth. And really, I don't know what they were. I would have to go back and listen to what they were saying about what conservatism is, or what Ben Shapiro was saying, or what Jordan Peterson was saying. and all that, and what Dave Rubin was saying. But at the end of the day, now looking at the world in I think clearer vision, I think we can say conservatism needs to die and liberalism needs to die along with it, because they're basically one and the same.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're both operating kind of within the same paradigm, right? I mean, both of them, like, so I agree that, yeah, we need something, else, and just constantly fighting, rear guard action where we're losing all the time and never taking back ground at all, and working towards anything. Yeah, it's just it's a waste of time.
We need our crusaders.
Very true.
The crusaders. We need knights in shining armor. Trevor, where's your armor? Where is it? Do you have it with you?
It's just in the closet. It's just in the closet. Don't worry.
It's in the closet?
No, I wish that would be great. The most armor that I have is a World War One British doughboy helmet that I have. That's about it.
That's
so
even that's lame even for World War One. At least get a German, like, that pointy helmet. Oh, that's so great.
the pickle hob. Yeah,
that's a terrible name, but it still looks really good.
It looks great, and although I would really like to get a nice Austrian helmet, which I know that they
did the Austrian helmet look like?
They basically showed the same helmet as the Germans did, the same style.
Mm-hmm. Wait, can you find it on the internet?
Oh yeah, you can Google it.
I mean, know, but you have hands.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
You can present it.
Oh, okay.
You have the ability, Trevor.
Yeah, let's see here. Hey, there's one for $200 here if you really wanted it, Connor.
I'm not.
Let's see,
Trevor. Plotlines doesn't make that kind of money.
Did I need to show it here?
You need to click the present button. Do you see the present button?
I see it. Let's
and
see.
Then click the click the website.
Okay. All right.
That's not a pointy helmet.
No, this is not a pickle hub. This was just their in the trenches helmet that they had.
Dang it, Trevor. I thought you were going to show me something cool.
This is cool. I'd love this helmet.
What? Yeah. Why?
This would be great.
There's no design. There's nothing.
This is like the this is basically like what the whole Star Wars Stormtrooper helmet's based off of. So it's pretty awesome.
Is it though?
I don't know. That's what I've been told. So I can't.
Clone troopers looked so much better than stormtroopers. Just saying, they had more color.
It's true. They had a lot more color.
They did. I'm not a fan of the black and white.
Yeah, it's true. But it was based off of they based it off of a lot of the German uniforms, of course. So yeah, and that helmet was given to the Austrians more or less by the Germans, the style. And so
what was the Austrian fancy style?
It looked like a pickle hob.
Okay, well, do you want to find that one?
Yeah, sure.
I thought that's what you were going to show me.
I thought you were looking for the helmet. You said armor, so.
But it is armor. They used that in combat, at least in the 1800s.
Yeah. Maybe.
Right?
I think so. Yeah, in the 19th century they did.
Yeah. So it's still armor.
Yeah.
And it was probably used at the beginning of World War One.
It was at the very beginning.
It was just too expensive, right? I assume.
Yes, and it really wasn't doing much for the actual protection.
You mean it wasn't really armor?
It wasn't really armor, so
Aw.
it looks great, but it's not really doing all that much. So let me go ahead and share the screen again, and I'll show it here.
And hopefully this is what I expect.
Yeah, so this is it right here. So you can see it, but this is 1899, so
It looks a little German,
it does look a little bit German.
especially with I don't know why, but the way the eagles are. I guess they both use the double eagles, so that's why it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it can be a little bit hard to tell. Yeah, although like this general style, even if it didn't have the point quite the same, was very like popular 19th century military type uniform hat.
I mean, the French used like just basic caps,
I believe so.
like the Americans. Well, the Americans wore what the French wore, basically.
Yes.
It wasn't. I don't think it was. I think it was the French. See, the French. They just, they made everyone dress like them. Basically,
Yeah.
It was the cool thing.
Who knew that the cool thing was to dress like French soldiers? But that was true after the kind of the Napoleonic era.
Well, and before that too, the Russians thought so.
It's
The
true.
Russians were Francophiles, which is weird.
It is kind of weird.
Could you imagine the Russians being Francophiles now? I can't. That'd be the weirdest thing ever.
That is true. My how the times change. And I think I remember hearing that, right? Kind of the westernization under Catherine the Great, and onward,
Peter the Great,
St. Petersburg, trying to make it more French.
Indeed. Okay. Also, so Anheuser-Busch is the main company, right? Or the sort of the big company of Bud Light. So these are in the St. Louis Business Journal reported that Budweiser sales declined by 11.4%. Michelob Ultra, is that right pronunciation?
Yeah, Michelob.
Oh, Michelob, whatever. Ultra sales declined by 4.4%. I have a feeling people don't know that Bud Light is associated with Michelob Ultra. Busch Light sales decreased by 1.8%. Again, I don't think people know the connection. And then Natural Light sales declined 5.2%. And so Bud Light dropped. So the Bud Light brand dropped 23.4%, which is insane. And so this is what I'm saying. So like Coors Light boosted up 20%, and Miller Lite went up 20%. So they had the greatest success they could possibly have by the downfall of Bud Light, seemingly. And now this ad comes out, and they've just probably destroyed all of that, hopefully. Though I do think Dylan Mulvaney was a bigger scandal, so to speak, than this woke women's ad.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, that was an iconic set of pictures and videos that Dylan put out. I mean, yeah, I agree. Some guys are going to see this ad and they're going to be like, "Oh no, I switched from Bud, I went to Miller. Now they're doing this. Now I got to go to Coors. Now I got to go to Yangling."
But it's the same thing. Coors is the same as Miller Lite.
Listen, like you just said, people
they're not
care,
smart.
right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're not going to look at what's the parent company. They're just going to say, oh, well, okay, great. I'm just going to go on to the next thing. What's the next thing? Oh, this kind of tastes the same. So we'll go down to the next light beer. And this is also why it's hard to take down some of these huge companies, right? Because it's easy to say, well, Bud Light's related to Budweiser. That makes sense. But then beyond that, people have to put in research, and I'm not always have great confidence in just the general public to do that amount of research to say, oh, here's the 30 different brands that are under the umbrella of AnBev, which is the Belgian company that owns Anheuser-Busch. Here's all those companies. Like, people don't do that generally. I mean, some people do, which is probably why you saw like a dip in Michelob, right? Could easily probably be explained by the 4% there that you saw. That probably was the people who figured out like Michelob's tied to this, so I'm boycotting Michelob too. So at least you saw maybe a little bit of that, but generally people just have that visual of Budweiser, Bud Light, have to avoid that. On to the next thing. Let me just go to the next thing that's here on the shelf. Oh, it's Coors, it's Miller Lite. Okay, I'll just get that. You know, maybe it's not my favorite. Maybe it's like a little tiny bit different. There's not a great difference between them, but you know, I'll deal with it. I'll have it. I'll get it. And yeah, this is why, in part, it's so hard to just say, yeah, we'll take down a brand. Okay, that's fine. It's really hurt Bud Light, but the whole AnBev family of products, yeah, it's hurt, but it's not fatal or anything.
What's your message to light beer drinkers?
Expand your horizons. If you're out there and you're listening to this, please do so. And it doesn't have to be go buy Tridentine beer, even when it's available. It could be brew your own beer. Look at what local non-woke, and there are quite a few local breweries that are not supporting a specific anti-Catholic agenda that are out there. Expand your horizons, because beer in its history is very rich. And what you're getting with light beer is like one beer style that's been watered down, and you should do yourself a favor and expose yourself to more of the styles. It doesn't have to be hoppy. It's not a binary choice between double IPA and Miller Lite. There's such a broad array of different styles that have grown up over the centuries that are out there for you to try and expand your palate. So I would encourage you to do so. Sometimes it's a bit of a jump at first to get used to craft brews. Just your historically accurate brews. Let me put it that way. It takes a little bit of getting used to something that, going from something that tastes like water to something that is substantial in nature, but it's well worth it once you make that jump to do that. So that would be my pitch, is to give it a try, find something that a beer company, or make it yourself, that doesn't support an agenda that you oppose, and go crazy, expand your palate and your beer horizon.
Also, the answer will be to buy Tridentine Brewing beer when it comes out. He's just trying to be modest.
I'm trying to be modest, Connor. I was trying to be nice on your show and not just make it a Tridentine Brewing commercial. But
what do you think we're doing here? Do you think this isn't just a giant advertisement?
You know what? That's great, Connor. I will from here on out, I'm just going to take that as blank check to shamelessly advertise.
That's why you're here. Shamelessly advertised and great commentary and our great back and forth.
Well, I appreciate that, Connor. But in all seriousness, though, I do think that, because even for people, when Tridentine becomes available, it may not be available for everyone. It's a good thing. Like, home brewing is a very worthwhile hobby to get into. It's not that difficult, and there are still a lot of small craft breweries that don't support an agenda. So there's a lot of room out there to support a brewery that even aligns with your values. Let me give you an example. When I was in Oklahoma, so I recently went to the Empress Zeta Symposium that was at Clear Creek Abbey this past Saturday. And while we were at Clear Creek, we actually went to another Catholic brewer's brewery. And we went to their tap room and we had some of their beer, and it was fantastic. So Downing Brewery, real close, about a mile or two away from Clear Creek Abbey. If you're in that area of Oklahoma, I'd highly recommend that the listeners and the viewers check it out. But like that's just a great example of there's a good Catholic family that put together a brewery and did a great job with it. And it's even up and running right now. So it may seem like, just because we're on social media, that it's like Tridentine and then there's some monastic breweries and that's it. But there are some other breweries out there that exist. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of searching out, but they're out there.
Now you're plugging other breweries. What is going on here? Okay,
this is about Catholic culture, Connor. You got to promote all the other Catholic breweries. I'm all about promoting the other Catholic breweries out there because we need it, and Tridentine cannot support beer for the entire empire, so we need more people out there.
You're a good man, Trevor Alcorn. You're a good man. Well, I will have a link to your website so people can check that out. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Join our Discord. That means you, Trevor.
Okay.
And thank you all for watching, and God bless.
God bless. Thank you, everyone.